Jesus' disciples asked him, so tell us, what will it be like in the end of the days? As they were with him, January 19th, 2021, 4:47 p.m. His disciples wanted to know what it was going to look like in the end of the world. Now, what if his disciples already knew what it was going to look like at the end of the world, and they just wanted Jesus to clarify that exact same thing? Just like King Neb wanting somebody to interpret his dream, what the image of gold is, and then when Daniel told him what it was about his kingdom, then another kingdom inferior to his is going to rise up, and then another one after that, and a third kingdom, and then the fourth kingdom. So whoever King Nebuchadnezzar is in these days, well, the only question is, was he already chopped down? Are we at the end? His 7 years is up because he came down to earth and lived among us. That has to be the qualifications. There has to be 7 years of this king being cut down and then living down here in this pit where we're at, instead of up there in the heavenly realm where they control everything. So King Neb gets cut down, and then he gives his testimony after he becomes humble. So what is the king? What is the head of gold, and then the chest plate of iron? No, I think that's the feet. I'm gonna have to read into it some more. But as I hear it, and as I see these images, you have the legs. The last kingdom that's divided is the Roman kingdom. The Roman kingdom is the last kingdom that comes in, because at first he's talking to King Neb about the head of gold, and then he has all of the other metals, the silver, I think it's the bronze, the gold. The feet are mingled with iron, the clay mingled with iron. One kingdom is, see, I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. It's just the way it is. Some people have the benefits of having a script. It's easier to read holographic messages on your windshield. I gotta invest in that system because I would love to have it, and I'd be more efficient. So I'm trying to figure out loud from what I heard today with just the videos that I listened to, trying to understand more about King Neb and the image of gold and the different kingdoms that come in, and then tie that into how the Bible is being played out with the president being in charge, and then not so much being in charge, letting the news go all the way to the very end. So there's a kingdom that's getting ready to be taken out, but there's a party that happens. But 3 weeks has to go by. There's a lot of talk about tomorrow, the inauguration, and what could happen. But when I hear more talk and more of those let's say that just ideas that people have, when I hear more of that, then I see the narrative. It's like you got one last trump card. It's one last one. What is this dream that we're going to see? Well, I'm trying to envision what the dream would be like if we're seeing it unfold right now. So take in consideration how somebody's getting cut off, and then somebody else comes in and takes over, and then somebody else comes in and takes over, and then somebody else comes in and takes over, like the fourth kingdom. But the fourth kingdom has attached to it the word of God, because that kingdom, the last one, trumps everything. But it divides Rome, because Rome, in the beginning, apparently they were looking to do the same thing, and then somewhere along the lines they stumbled across a rock, and then they just kept going, and they went back the other way. They stumbled over the rock again, and then this time they looked at it, and then they went away, and they came back and they stumbled over the rock again. And then this time they picked the rock, and then they started to throw this rock along with stones and everything else, because they kept stumbling over the rock. Once they finally paid attention to the rock, they picked it up and they're like, hey, we can actually use this. And then some were like, no, we can't. And then that's the mingling of the seed. That's how that happened. The seed got mingled with half of Rome, and it divided them. That's why when Christ was crucified, there's two people, one on each side. One of them is repenting, the other one's not. It's a divided kingdom. And then from that point on, because these two kings are in high positions and they split ideology, they still love each other and they still respect each other. So they find a way to have these two races mix in a peaceful realm. So ultimately, in the end, I'm on Rome's side. So whoever's in charge, whoever's the Roman soldier that pierced Christ, obviously he knew, because after you defecate on someone's character, after you slander their name, after all the abuse that you take from the other side, it's the same as getting pierced in the side. And then to go back on the same side of the people that pierced you, Jesus was even alive during the time of the Romans, because obviously the Roman soldiers are the ones that took him in. But who comes up before that, and then before that, and after Trump? So here we are. How is this going to play out? I'd like to wait until the day of to give my official ending of my predictions of what I think will possibly happen on the very next day, which would be tomorrow. Today's January 19th, 2021, 4:56 p.m. I would like to think about what part of the image are we at? There's King Nebuchadnezzar, there's King Belshazzar. See, Belshazzar, I heard he was like the son or possibly the grandson of his father Nebuchadnezzar, which he could be his predecessor. That would make it seem like he's younger. But is he older? Is the older serving the younger? You got to ask yourself all these questions. That way you can finally get an answer. Belshazzar, he was at the same time that all this stuff was happening, he has a party. But why is he partying? Is he partying because he thinks he's going to continue on? Or is he partying because he's trying to pretend that he doesn't know? Like he just doesn't want to think about his demise because the writing's on the wall? Or is he partying to try to get people to think that he's still in charge? And then as if he can offer Daniel third in charge, like interpret this the writing on the wall, and I'll let you be third in charge. Come on. Even though my demise is over, my time's up. But if I can convince you that I'll let you be third in charge, that means I'll be taking your place. And I have a feeling that's probably why Daniel would say, nah, I'll just wait. Blessed is he who waits until this whole thing is over and everybody starts telling the truth and people can stop playing around and pretending to be other people when they're not. That's all. I want to meet Jesus Christ and I want to shake his hand and give him a big hug for all the abuse that he took. But if there isn't one, then I don't want to meet someone that's acting like him, pretending to be him when he knows damn well he's not. Just looking for truth to help, because it gets pretty exciting at times to think of where we truly are and how the Bible is being played out. But you got to remember, there always has to be this other twist that gets you to think that maybe the Bible wasn't fulfilled. And then continue on because Christ came as a thief in the night. Only people that know are going to know. And then the entire population, it's just a thief in the night. Things change. But you know what would really change? In order for Trump to become the Christ, the Paul, the Saul to Paul character, and play that out in real life, is he would have to, when he gets back in office, after the 21-day period, after the 3.5-day party, and Michael stands up on his behalf. Michael who? Who do you think? Which Michael is going to stand up for Trump after 21 days? What party is going to have the party for 3.5 days? And then who's going to come in after that? Because these are all the kingdoms. Who are these kingdoms? Well, one of them is who. The other one's what? I don't know who the third one is. I'm trying to figure that one out. But the fourth one is a combination of Rome with Christ. The Spirit just divided, because that's why Christ came to, he didn't come to create peace, he came to divide your house. A kingdom divided can't stand, so Satan's kingdom can't stand. When you know that we're at the end and the kingdom of Christ is literally coming down from heaven on the earth, and the people that are in charge are the ones that receive the Christ Spirit. So they're the ones taking over at the very end. And whatever spirit they have, that's what they're taking over with. I mean, doesn't history repeat itself? You just got to know where we are in history. I always hated history. It was my least favorite subject. It was so boring. But now it's my most favorite subject because it's extremely interesting, because we're living in it. It's being rewritten because of how we're living in these moments. But there's still a group that thinks they're taking over, and then they get the news. The ram represents the Medo and Persian Empire, the Medes and the Persians. So the ram representing 2, it reminds me of twins. The ram representing, like a sheep, like a goat, like Christ. As you have twins, it seems like that fits a little bit better in that area. And then you got the shaggy goat. Now the shaggy goat, he could be shaggy. He could have that to make it seem that way, but he can completely not be shaggy. Just like when you call someone tiny who is not tiny, but they are really. And so the shaggy goat could be someone that has smooth skin, just the exact opposite, which would mean a woman. And then the he goat has a little horn, or the not the he goat, the little horn. Or is it the he goat? The Antichrist. That's like the third. The ram, the he goat, the little horn, and the fourth kingdom. I always got this confused before when it comes to like Rome and or the kingdom of Christ, because it's like who's taking over? Christ is, but they're talking about Rome, and it just doesn't seem like that mixes. But then it does mix. It's not that Jesus Christ as one individual was able to gather up an army of people just following him, and they don't even know him like physically. This is all through words. The words is what gets through to the Roman soldiers. Whichever rank they are, it eventually gets to the highest rank, and they know the truth, and they know that their employees don't know the truth, and then they realize that they're doing the will of God, and it all starts to fit together even more than it ever has before. But these kingdoms have to come in and feel like each one is going to win. So tomorrow at the inauguration, there's talk about Trump would get Biden locked up before the inauguration. That would be a party pooper if he went in and instead of Biden receiving some kind of thing or something, the guy walks up with handcuffs and does that in humiliation to the world. But that's only if you don't play out the 21 days and you go and divert it in a different direction. But with Trump getting cut off halfway through, and according to history, if a war breaks out before another inauguration, the previous president stays in office. Now, and then because there's so much talk about that actually happening, like him getting locked up tomorrow, getting Biden locked up, and the military is on his side and all that stuff, because they're talking about so much tomorrow, you know that rule of thumb is that's exactly what is not going to happen. Because it's always about a twist that you don't know about. Here's the twist. It's just a continuance. We're stepping into the book of Daniel, where it's a 21-day holdup. After the 21-day holdup, because there's an exchange of power, there's a severing point. It was Trump, now it's not. So we're going on to the next kingdom. Then when that 21-day period is up, when that kingdom is destroyed, don't forget that there's another kingdom that comes up, and that kingdom is the final one that gets destroyed by the Roman one with the Christ spirit, because they're the ones that rule, majority rules. They're the ones that take back. But it could have went either way. It could have went in a different direction. Like, if they never changed their mind, what would they be doing? They would be doing exactly what the other half stopped doing. The other half stopped doing that. That's why their kingdom was divided. Medo-Persian Empire. Then the Greece Empire comes up. And then, because it's Babylon, first, Babylon's fallen, by the way, everybody. Just so you know, Babylon has fallen. That's why Belshazzar is throwing a party for 1,000 of his lords, even though he knows the writings on the wall. Because he knows the writings on the wall. Do you know the writings on the wall? He's still throwing a party either way, and you got to try to figure out, why is he so damn happy? You better hope he's not part of a group that is part of the rock that's built upon a rock. Not a rock that's unauthentic, but the true rock. So what is Greece? Greece is less of a country than the Medo-Persians, or no, less of a country than the Romans, the Roman country. That's why the Roman is the last. And at that time, the Roman soldiers, the one that pierced Christ, and then realized afterwards. And that's the same thing with, you don't realize what you're doing until time goes by. And if you're constantly proven, and there's a mirror stuck in your face, not really an actual mirror, but if you're able to get people to really think about themselves and then just lay down the judgment of whatever it is. It doesn't matter who thinks whatever. Shouldn't you just let them think whatever their opinions are? If they truly believe it, how can you prove it? If people truly believe what they're saying and they just say their interpretation, well, good. That's what we need. But we also need people to be able to correct them, but only correcting them in a way if they are truly off. And it's like a majority rules of everybody's on the same page, but it's like the Christ page. It's not the fake Christ. It's not the Antichrist. It's not the twisted doctrine of everything. It's the actual truth this time, where everybody's able to literally help each other, and you, being in charge of all of it, is able to monitor that exact thing to make sure that you know who truly is who, because of the refining period. That's why there's a kingdom after another kingdom after another kingdom, because you got to get this kingdom to believe that they're that kingdom when they're not. They're this one. And then same thing with him. You try to get him to believe that he's that person, and then you take his place. And once he finds out that you're not him, and he's him, we got to take it to the next step and get him to believe that that guy is what he really doesn't know about himself. So it's trickery after trickery after trickery. You have to be patient and wait. That's why there's a blessing to wait 45 days, because of this exact reason. There's a transfer power. There's a holdup for 21 days. Well, there's a time where Daniel eats no pleasant bread. What is the pleasant bread? I know this, on my regular Robin's Hood channel, I have strikes that I can't upload anymore until 2 weeks is up. It's perfect, by design, planned out, strategically, couldn't have been played out any better. So happy birthday to Justin. I mean, I don't see any eggs, but I see this. I see that. Yep. I see him flexing. If he didn't delete his video, I would like to play it. But it was about, you know what, before, see, I'm on a roll here, but maybe later. I'll probably delete it. It's about, you know, asking, look, there's some guy, he claims he's a prophet from God, that he said that Trump was going to get back in office, but he said that it was tomorrow that he was going to get Biden locked up. He's a true prophet, and that God really told him. What do you do with that? Because if he's a regular person, he truly believes it. What do you do? I mean, if he's wrong with his own free speech, with his own words that came out of his mouth, with what he believes, if he truly believes that, and everybody from the inside knows that that person is only from the outside, well, then that person will continue to talk freely. If you had free will and the freedom of your speech and your religion isn't stopped to the ground because of what you believe. So there's people that are saying that Trump is going, or this prophet is saying that he got a strike, by the way. I saw a channel just the other day, but he's saying that Trump was going to come back in, but tomorrow he's going to, you know, Biden's going to get locked up. But that's not going to happen. You know why? Because that's the theme. The theme is to get people, even like that, who works on the inside anyway, even that, to get that as an example. Because that's all you can do is just use it as an example. You should not be predicting anything, especially when we know the script, at least up until the 21 days. And then there's a transfer of, we thought this was going to happen, but that really didn't happen. And then this kingdom takes over. So the key question is, who is King Nebuchadnezzar? Like, it's kind of hard to find out what his dream is. And, like, he's not even going to tell you what his dream is. But he wants you to tell him what his dream is and interpret what it even means. Like, what did I see? And what does it mean? And on top of that, you need to find out who King Nebuchadnezzar is to be able to even tell him, because he's not even asking you per se. It's written in his words in the Bible. You got to just figure out who it is. So who is it? Who's King Nebuchadnezzar? What character I'm just itching my ear. I'm not doing signs. What character in my life that I've experienced on YouTube, who could fit the King Nebuchadnezzar role? And then who fits the ram with the two kingdoms? And then who fits the Roman kingdom that becomes divided at the end? Who do you think was really on your side? Which one was really on your side repenting? And then which one was really on your side going to paradise that day, and which one was not? I know some pretty powerful people on the planet. They're called the planet runners. They run this planet. But how do they run it? Are they all in it together? Or is this playing out at like live, and their feelings are changing as we go? Because I just assume everybody is already in on it. You already know the end of the story. But at the same time, there truly aren't people that even know or believe that, and they continue on exactly the way Scripture says, not even knowing that they're fulfilling prophecy by doing it. That's the amazing part about the Bible too. When it becomes true, like when you're seeing it unfold. So I see it as Trump, he's down and out tomorrow. That's it. That's it. He's done. He is out. The impeachments are going on, but he's getting impeached. But that's like this. If I decided to go in the shop, right, and get locked up, instead of putting a mask on, if I said, no, I'm not doing it, and then they lock me up, well, then that takes the proceedings because I wasn't looking for trouble, and then you go lock me up. No. This is where, all right, well, now I'm in the court system. Here it goes. So when this happens, when I get locked up for predicting these things, the same thing. Same things that happen. You can't pin me with anything. This is the book of Daniel, and I'll prove it. I'll prove it to all your characters, especially after it happens. Somebody has all my videos out there. A couple people have all my videos out. A lot of people have all my videos saved, no matter what happens to me or my videos or my channel or whatever. They're out there. So all these events take place, and it's when it happens one after another, and it's a 3-week period, and then somebody comes up, and then after a few days they're destroyed. Trump gets knocked out tomorrow, and then he's down and out. Biden gets up. Lady Gaga sings her song. It's a new song. It's a new song that she's singing. But what is the spirit behind the person that represents that person? What kind of spirit is this representing? Is Sodom and Gomorrah taking over? Because this kingdom that's getting ready to take over, it's by force. It's by a fraudulency that happens behind the scenes. So that's why that doesn't last. But how long does that last for? Does it last 3 days? Or is it going to last 3 weeks? And then we're getting into that, because that's going to determine where we're at when Trump goes down for good as a president. But remember, he'll be back in. Because he may even be that person that's despised, that the vile person stands up, who they did not give the honor to kingdom. That could be Trump in as the final one, because the Senate doesn't like him. Like, people don't like him, so he's considered vile. And he comes in with his flatteries. But it could also be that fourth and final kingdom that comes in and takes it, which Trump is. Trump is. He gets out. Here comes the next kingdom. So what is that? Representing Medo and Persia, the ram, Biden and Kamala, but really Biden and Lady Gaga. And then the next one is Greece. After what, 3 weeks? And then they party for 3 days? And then after that it's Rome? Is that the ending of the story?